filming, so live it's Saturday night. So we start our candle, and I didn't have Jim Price do this for me, so I may just have to. All right, ready? We light this candle. If you'll repeat the order of service, the lighting, whatever. The chalice lighting words. We light this flaming chalice to illuminate the world we seek. In our search for truth, may we be just. In our search for justice, may we be loving. And in loving, may we find peace. So, and Jane now is going to give us our opening words and then move through the service, right? At that point. Okay, so.
Our opening words are from poet John Greenleaf Whittier. The harp at nature's advent strung has never ceased to play. The songs the stars of morning sung has never died away. So what do you think of when you think of the harp? Angels? A young David playing it to soothe King Saul? Maybe harpomarks. Symphony orchestras. Perhaps Ireland, since it's the official emblem of that land. What I'm playing is called a Celtic harp. It differs from the harp you'll see with a symphony orchestra in two basic ways. That's also the kind of harp that Groucho played. This is smaller. Sometimes they can be small enough to sit in your lap. This is about as big as they get, at 5 feet. And it uses levers instead of pedals to change the pitch on the various strings, so you can play in different keys. Since ancient times, the harp has been seen as a path to peace, a bridge to the spirit world. Its resonant sound was associated with immortality or eternal life, because after you finish playing, it still goes on. But the harp also became a symbol of defiance. The British tried to suppress Irish culture by banning people from owning or playing harps. It didn't work. The tune I just played, which you might have felt was maybe a love song or a bridge to the spirit world, was actually about rebellion against injustice. It's called Ned of the Hill, and it's about, and possibly by, Edmund or Ned Orion, who was a real person in the early 1700s who was Ireland's answer to Robin Hood. One day, Ned came across a tax collector who was confiscating a poor elderly woman's only cow. He was outraged. So he confronted the tax collector, fought with him, and ended up shooting him dead. Then he fled for the hills, where he continued to fight oppression for many years, until his death by betrayal. So he became an outlaw, but he was also a folk hero. And that song speaks to the loneliness of being a wanted man, but also determined to do what was right. I first set fingers on a Celtic harp at a Christmas party I gave in 1986. I was 2 years old, you know. A friend brought a small harp that he had just built. He liked to make folk instruments. And I saw it and I grabbed it away from him and I was entranced. It seemed so natural to play, so much a part of me already. So I called my parents and said, I know what you can get me for Christmas. That night, I picked out my first tune on the harp, which I'll play for you now. You probably know it, either by its original name of Green Sleeves, or as the Christmas carol, What Child Is This? Playing the Celtic harp has been a learning experience for more than my fingers. Here are a few of the life lessons it's taught me. Lesson 1, let go. You can't play the harp without relaxing into it, embracing it, letting it sink into your arms. You can't play it stiffly or from a distance. Sometimes we stand at a distance from others, particularly those who are not like us. We're afraid to get too close, unwilling to feel their pain. But what music do we miss when we turn our back? Lesson 2, take time to tune. Tuning a harp is boring, annoying, and absolutely necessary. It's almost impossible to make a tuned harp sound bad. But an out-of-tune harp, it cannot sound good. And to be honest, I'm the same way. If I'm not taking time to meditate, to sleep, to nourish my body, mind, and spirit, then life becomes difficult, harsh, discordant. But if I'm tuned, if I'm centered, difficulties still come, but they don't knock me down, at least not for long. I can find peace. We all need moments of reflection, as surely as a harp needs to be tuned. So here are a couple of tunes to help you reflect. Oh, dear. Lesson 3 may surprise you at this point. There are no mistakes. Of course, I don't mean that literally. You've heard me make mistakes, plenty of them, and that's just on the harp. But there's no need to obsess over them. When I started playing harp in public, it was obvious when I missed a note, even if nobody else heard it, because as soon as I hit it, I go. When my husband, Gary, hit a wrong note on his fiddle, he just kept playing, perhaps with a little laugh. The secret, he said, is that in folk music, there are no mistakes, only ornaments, also called grace notes. If you hit the wrong string, you either quickly adjust to the right one or just move on. It's not the end of the world or the song. And I've decided that's true for life too. When chaos takes over and I feel I'm doing everything wrong, time to chill. It's only grace notes, a plot twist. Laugh and keep playing. Lesson 4, simple is beautiful. With the harp, less is more. You can play many notes very quickly, but it's probably going to sound muddled and less pleasing than fewer notes played slowly and with care. Here's a tune that Gary wrote that is simply beautiful. Now the final lesson. You're not alone. Once we were hired to play at a funeral on short notice. Gary couldn't get off work, so I was on my own. It was a little creepy sitting inches away from the open casket. It was a stranger. All the people there were strangers. And then it got worse. As I was tuning up, I couldn't help but overhear the mourners talking. They weren't trying to keep it soft. They weren't just sad, which I expected. They were furious. Apparently, their friend had recently found the courage to leave her abusive husband and move into an apartment on her own. Finally free, she was crossing the busy highway and was struck by a car and killed. Now at her funeral, the atmosphere was thick with anguish and anger, particularly toward the husband, who was also there. I hoped that music could somehow untangle the knots of emotion and bring even a tiny bit of peace to that room full of grim faces and clenched hands. For 30 minutes I played until the service was supposed to begin, but the minister hadn't arrived. So I kept playing. 10 more minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. I played and played until I exhausted all my solo arrangements and finally turned to a piece I had only ever played in an arrangement with Gary. I wasn't even sure how I'd do it, just on my own. It's called The Call. It isn't folk music, but a hymn, one that's actually in the Unitarian hymnal, with music by Vaughan Williams and these evocative words by George Herbert. Come my way, my truth, my life, such a way as gives us breath, such a truth as ends all strife, such a life as killeth death. In that moment, ending strife sounded even more beyond reach than killing death. But as I was playing, to my ear, the music only half there. Something happened. Something turned. Something released. I felt a sigh, a loosening in the room. I felt something else too, something I've never felt before or since. While playing that melody, I suddenly felt the invisible presence of others playing with me, harmonizing, the music swelling into something bigger than me that only I could hear. I sensed with wonder that my hesitant, inadequate notes were part of a far greater symphony. I knew then that I wasn't playing alone. Not really, not ever. That even if I lost Gary forever, which I did, I would never play alone. Just as the tune ended, the minister walked in. After the service, several people came up to me and said that they had felt a change, a thaw inside as I played. Maybe they just needed space to breathe. Maybe the music burrowed inside them and did its work. I can't explain it. I can only play it again, maybe. Always inadequate, probably imperfect, but never alone. Thank you. This holiday season, I hope you will make time to relax, retune, find beauty and simplicity, and celebrate with peace in your heart. You too are part of the music.
What a beautiful treat. Thank you. So nice. And today we're now going to move into sharing our gifts. And we are doing a share the plate service. If you'll notice in your program, we are sharing today's program with Simbra, North Carolina. And this is a group that works hand in hand with UU Justice. And they have been very involved with helping immigrant families, particularly with the recent ICE coming through and seizing people. And so they are on the front line helping. And they're also helping others help by training. So they do a lot of training about if you're a teacher, if you're if you're a clinic or something, and people are getting pressed, this is how you can help in particular. So, and they also are very helpful in finding housing for immigrant families. So we wanted to make sure that in this season of getting ready to celebrate with all of our families, that we remembered people that are helping folks whose families are in crisis. So we'll pass that for that. With grateful hearts, we receive these gifts, and we will share the whole plate unless you have marked for that it's a payment on a pledge or a new pledge commitment. And now here's a segue. Speaking of pledge, I know that you've been sitting here the whole time wondering, where are we with the annual pledge drive? Gosh, I hope she's going to give us an update. And you'll be glad to know that because the harp music was so beautiful, I'm not even going to try and sing one. I'm just going to give it to you. So, look at us. Wow. So, very exciting. So as we reported midweek, we had crossed the $70,000 pledge mark, which is the highest, as far as I know, that we've ever done. So that's very exciting. Now, and we are closing in on the $75,000 goal. So it was really interesting because Linda and I were talking about what do we want to do, what are we going to say, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, we get this email out of the blue. And it's from a secret Santa. And this secret Santa is a member of our congregation, and she had already generously increased her pledge. But she said, I want to make sure we get to where we want to go. So I'm willing to increase my pledge if other people will step up. And so if you have already made your pledge, but you might want to increase it a little bit more, that will come in for the match. Or if you have not had the opportunity to make your pledge yet and you submit it, that will also count for the match. So, and then maybe she'll let us tell you who she is. But it certainly is, it's one of those things where you're just sitting there and all of a sudden you open the email and you go, oh, this makes my day. Look at this. So let's make her day. And if you will be part of making your commitment, if you haven't, or if you want to increase it, we'd love it. Next week, we will have our annual meeting. And at that annual meeting, we will be presenting the budget for the year. And that is based, of course, in large part on this pledge drive. So let's see if we can, are you ready for this? Stick the landing. Because it was a rocket going to the moon, so landing. And then gymnastics. I know. It's good that the drive is coming to a close. I'm just out of cute things to say. What? What were you going to say?
Sit down.
Sit down. Okay. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. I'm almost ready to sit down. But we need to go through the announcements. All right, so social suppers, where are we going for supper? Fusion Bowl in Cornelius?
We promised we'd come back because it was just me and one other person.
Okay, all right, we need to make good on Linda's promise. Okay, and movie Tuesdays, it looks like we're gonna go see Hamnet this Tuesday? Is that the one, is that based on the book about Shakespeare's son?
Yeah.
Good book. Heart of the Carolinas, we've already heard, and today is getting the award, and you'll keep us posted, and if we can join folks for that, that'd be great. And then we have another build on December 13th. Feed and See is coming up on December 11th. We need people for that. Friday Action Hours, of course, every Friday. Today at 4 o'clock, right after the service, Jeff and the UU Humanists are here.
We have some, for those that want to stay, we have some refreshments out in the foyer.
Great,
And we'll start about 4:15.
terrific. And then next Sunday, Pat will be back doing a regular service, and he says it's a riff on how to end the year well. We just have to follow the 5 steps that Jane gave us. We are. And then after that, we will have the congregational meeting. And then Jim wanted us to know that if you didn't get a chance to collect trash on Saturday because it was so cold, they delayed it to this coming Saturday, and he could still use some help. So,
And because of the season, we're gonna actually delay it to next year,
oh,
January.
okay,
So I'll be checking.
okay. All right.
Join Sue, Jim Brown, and me. We need at least one more person.
Okay. And now, Mike, I think you're leading the closing song, you and Eddie? Okay.
Feel outnumbered because I have a harp here and the other harp is over here.
And it's closing song.
I can't get sounds out of this one like you do.
Yeah, get that glissando.
Closing song 245, Joy the World.
Joy to the world has come. Let earth praises sing. Let every heart heaven ring. Heaven and nature sing, and earth and nature sing. Heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness reigns. Let heart of songs and joy, for fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows grow. No thorn is the ground. Let righteousness its glory show. As far as love is found, as far as love is found, as far as love is found.
Okay, and now.
Closing words?
Yes, thank you.
Our closing words are from naturalist John Muir. Every hidden cell is throbbing with music and life. Every fiber thrilling like harp strings.
You searched hard for that one, didn't you? So nice. And now we will extinguish our chalice, and as we do that, if you'll join me in words, we extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, or unity, or fire. These we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Thank you. All right. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you. So Jeff, do you need us to clear this so that your folks can come in?